Forward, back. Good to go. Hello, welcome everyone. This is Kivanc. Thanks a lot for coming. I'm going to talk about CPAN Pull Request Challenge today. And you can follow my slides at kyzan.org/slides. A little introduction of myself. I studied computer engineering in Istanbul, Turkey, in Boğaziçi University, which is where I got introduced to Perl for the first time. Then I studied computer science in UC Santa Cruz Grad School. I'm working as a software engineer at ZipRecruiter for almost 2 years now. My Twitter, GitHub, etc. name is kyzan. My blog is also kyzan.org. These days I'm also using another Twitter account named Pull Request Club, especially during this conference I'm using it. And if you think it has something to do with Pull Request Challenge, you're absolutely right. It has a lot to do with Pull Request Challenge. I also speak Turkish and Japanese. If you speak those languages, feel free to say hi and let's chat. So my outline is that I will go over what CPAN is. So this is planned as a beginner-friendly talk. I will explain why CPAN is a great thing with an example. I will explain what a pull request is with another example. And then I will explain what the challenge is, what the CPAN Pull Request Challenge is. Then I will try to convince you to join the challenge. Then I will tell you how to join. A little announcement about the future of the challenge, and a little announcement about Birds of Feather hackathon thing that's going to happen tomorrow night after talks are over. So the schedule description actually has things like how to set up your computer or how to submit your first pull request, but I had to take those out for time restrictions. But if you come to the Birds of Feather tomorrow night, I will be more than happy to walk you through setup we use, or anything related to pull requests in general. If you have any questions, just feel free to join us tomorrow. I'll come to that later. Anyway, CPAN is the archive of Perl modules we all love and use, and it currently hosts more than 200,000 Perl modules, which is an awesome thing. I mean, it's there are more than 200,000 modules that do a very specific thing. So my example will be this. Imagine you're writing a Perl script that counts words in a text, and you lowercase every single word, you get rid of punctuation, etc., so that you kind of combine similar words in it. But then you realize you want to merge battery with batteries, car with cars, and how do you handle that? You get an idea. Like you can write a method that takes 2 words and then returns a score to you for how similar they are. And then you can actually go ahead and write this method. It works perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it, except there already is a module on CPAN that is named string similarity. So instead of writing your own, you can go find whatever you want on CPAN. And this is true for most of the things you want to do. So CPAN actually stops you from reinventing the wheel over and over again. So that's a great tool. And one of the things we don't realize when we use CPAN daily is that it's actually a great tool with a great community. One of the things I really like about CPAN is that you have to upload, well, you don't have to technically, but you should upload a test suite with your CPAN module when you upload a module. And there is this thing called CPAN testers who are people running your tests against various machines, various operating systems, and various Perl versions. And when something fails, you get an email from them saying, hey, you did your development on Linux, but your script fails on Windows, so you better figure out what's wrong. And this is not true. This doesn't exist for every package manager out there. This screenshot is from another conference called Linux Fest Northwest, and John Anderson, GeneHack, did a great talk on what Perl does right. And he's literally saying, like, please go steal this to your language. We love this feature in Perl. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching this talk. Pull request is, to oversimplify, is how open source community shares code these days. And I'll explain it with another example. So assume I have a Perl script that when run, it prints first name of everyone in this room. And it's in my namespace, it's Kivanc/name printer. It prints the first name, works perfectly fine, no problem. You need a similar script, but you need it to print full names, not first names. So you can actually go ahead and write it from scratch, which is perfectly fine. But you make a search and you come across my module, and then you decide that you can actually take it, make the modification, and then use it instead. So that's what you do. You take my module, you copy it under your namespace. It's still called name printer. And then you make the change so it prints full names instead of first names. This is perfectly fine. You're pretty much done. You have your script now. You can go home. Except you realize the way I split first name and last name is happening by looking at the first space character in the full name. And you think to yourself, well, this doesn't seem right. He's assuming there's no space in first name. And then you come back to me and say, hey, you know what, your script is wrong. You should probably print full names instead. And then that thing you say, please pull these changes back to your original code, that is a pull request. And when I merge it back, it's merged. Now you're a contributor to the original repository. That's a very high level of things. That's very introductory, actually. Behind the scenes, what's happening is you're just submitting me a diff file. It's just a patch that is applied to the repository. And what happens on GitHub, I'm giving an example on GitHub because pull request challenge highly depends on GitHub. It adds a conversation to that diff file. So there's the changes that is made, and there's a discussion that's happening between maintainers and collaborators. The challenge, the CPAN Pull Request challenge, it's actually quite simple to explain. What's happening is this. You get an assignment of a CPAN module once a month, and then you are expected to submit at least one pull request to that module. So you get a module once a month, and then you submit a pull request. That's pretty much it. Neil Bowers, who is organizing this challenge since 2015, he sends you an email at the beginning of each month saying, hey, this is your assignment for this month. Here's the link to GitHub. Here's some test failures. Here's some warnings, so you can go work on those. And then when you are done with your assignment, you actually go and email him back and say, hey, I'm done for this month. Here's my pull requests. And then you can also say, like, I want to get another module next month, or I don't want to get another module next month. I want to skip. Or you can also say things like, I want to quit. I don't want to do it anymore for whatever reason. So what I'm trying to say is, it's not like once you join, you can't get out. It's very flexible. So it's not like a school assignment in that sense. There's another challenge I briefly want to mention. It's called Hacktoberfest. This is organized by DigitalOcean and GitHub. And the way it works is they expect you to submit 4 pull requests to any repository. It doesn't have to be one repository. To any repository on GitHub during the month of October. So the reason I'm mentioning this, there are a lot of challenges actually happening around GitHub. The reason I'm mentioning this is it's really easy to combine with CPAN Pull Request challenge, right? Because if you get an October assignment from Neil, and then if you submit 4 pull requests to that CPAN module, then you get a free t-shirt like this, really easy. Why you should join, besides the free t-shirt, is that you gotta learn a lot about open source. You gotta meet a lot of great people that spend a lot of time for open source, and you actually get to experience, you actually get to learn by experiencing that pull request. You can read as much as you want. I'm not saying don't read, and then go explore, do some work, submit some pull requests, hack some modules, find some bugs, etc. You also improve your communication skills, which is you need to talk to authors and maintainers of CPAN module that you're hacking with. You need to see if anyone else has forked the module you're working on, and if they worked on it previously. So you need to get in touch with all those people via email, via Twitter, or IRC. So that's good. Improving your Perl skills, it goes without saying. You're working on Perl modules. You're reading Perl code that is already used in production for years now. And you can do it without joining the challenge, actually, but joining the challenge makes it more fun. This is slightly less important, perhaps. You get to learn about new modules that you haven't heard before. And team building, I added this specifically because we at ZipRecruiter actually are getting a team assignment as well. That's something else you can do. You can join the challenge personally, or you can join the challenge as a group. And when you join the challenge as a group, you usually get a bigger module with a lot more issues. And when that happens, you get together with your team and work on a module collectively. And that's a lot of fun. So that's my try to convince you to join the challenge. How to join is even simpler. You just need to email Neil saying, hey, I want to join the challenge, and then make sure to include your GitHub username. If you have a pause ID, include that as well, but that's optional. Just GitHub username is usually enough. The future of the challenge, I want to talk a little about this because Neil, at the beginning of this year, announced that this will be the last year of CPAN Pull Request Challenge. So yet another reason to join the challenge, if you may. But he's running it since 2015, so it'll be like 4 years of Pull Request Challenge, which is amazing. It's gonna end this year, at the end of this year. So I started building this new thing called Pull Request Club, and it's going to be pretty similar to what Pull Request Challenge is. It's still a work in progress, but I'm hoping to have a product by December so that it can kind of it can be a successor to the Pull Request Challenge that's going on. This will also be open source, so if you want to help me build this, I really appreciate your help. The last announcement I have is there is going to be a hackathon/BOF tomorrow night at 7 p.m. in Room, Arizona. And I will be there working on my assignment. If you are joining the challenge, if you join the challenge and if you have your assignment, if you want to work on it, feel free to come. If you want to work on just some random CPAN module or something else, feel free to join us. If you have never done a pull request before, please join us. I'll be more than happy to help you. And thanks a lot for coming, listening. Thanks a lot to Neil Bowers, who is organizing the challenge. Thanks a lot to all attendees, all participants of Pull Request Challenge, and thanks a lot for these photographers who made their photos publicly, freely available on Unsplash. Thank you. If you have any questions, I will be. Yeah. I have some extra slides I can show. So these are the numbers of attendees over the years. Actually, we started very high, then had a plateau. The text at January is kind of nice. There is a calculation behind how CPAN modules get assigned. So you heard about the CPAN river yesterday. Neil actually is using CPAN river here as well. If a CPAN module has a lot of CPAN modules that depend on it, and it has test failures, obviously this is something better get fixed soon so that gets high priority. He actually suggested that we should switch from assigning modules to assigning issues, so that it's a little easier to get started, but we'll see how that goes. And with the recent GitHub being acquired by Microsoft, I did a little poll, and it seemed like some people wanted to move to GitLab, some people are not sure what to do, but it's, yeah. Anyway, these are my extra slides. Any questions, just let me know.
Where do people want to move away from GitHub now that it's been acquired by Microsoft? What's the problem?
I think they're scared that they will eventually have to create a Microsoft account to access their code,
Okay.
but I'm not really sure. It might be that it belongs to big corporate now. They might not feel easy. Is there anyone who wants to comment on why we should run away from GitHub?
I was going to ask if there are any specific technical reasons to go to GitLab versus GitHub, or is it just a
ideology? It's not an ideology.
Yeah.
No, there is interval on this. For me, the other reason is GitLab provide a free private repo that GitHub does not provide.
Oh yeah, that's
So
true.
I'm using GitHub for 90% of my repo, but a few private repos they are on GitLab. So
but you already had them on GitLab, because GitHub didn't offer free private.
yeah, correct. That's the only reason for me to use GitLab for something.
Yeah, GitLab gives you free private repos at the moment, but GitHub is not doing that anymore. So that, if that's a deal breaker. All right, thanks a lot.